What is your problem with religion and people's faith? Why do you care? Ugh. Where shall I begin? Hello everyone, my name is Dark Illusions, and this is my problem with faith and religion. Well, religious person, let me ask you a question. Why is faith, the firm belief in something for which there is no proof, a good thing? Why is the purposeful suspension of critical thinking, logic, and reason a good thing? So what happens when you do purposely suspend critical thinking, logic, and reason? It allows you to believe whatever you want to believe. It allows you to turn fairy tales into truth, regardless of whether they are actually true or not. It makes you believe whatever you are told by someone who appears to have authority.
This woman keeps saying to the kids, and they answer back, she says, "I'm willing, God, I'll do what you want me to do." Wait a second. But see, the problem is that then there's a gap. God, I'll do what you want me to do, but there isn't actually any God talking to us, to tell us. So humans fill that gap, humans who have bad motivations, who are just human. God doesn't talk to you. You talk to him. Whether anybody's listening is an open question.
And you think you know that Jesus or God is talking to you? You're a schizophrenic.
Thank you.
These are the things that make faith the most dangerous mindset anyone can ever have. Faith is not good.
We all believe in something that there's no evidence for, and that's fine as long as you keep it separate from the process of science and critical thinking.
Faith is the plague of our society. It makes people think and do things no other person would otherwise do. Oh yeah, you ask? Like what? Oh, I don't know. Things like 9/11, suicide bombings, beheadings, blowing up schools, most wars, the Crusades, the Inquisition, every conflict in the Middle East ever, genocide such as the Holocaust, the Rwandan genocide, the Bosnian genocide. Others include human sacrifices, witch trials, the burning of witches, the suppression of women and homosexuals along with other ethnic groups, rape, bodily mutilation, arranged marriage to minors, condoning slavery and the systematic rape of children by priests. Just a few to name off the top of my head.
And becoming a soldier for Christ, which is what this is about. We have to understand that we're fighting a war against people who think that they are engaged in a cosmic battle between the forces of good and evil. They believe that this is not an earthly battle. This is a war between the forces of Christianity and the forces of Islam.
In all these examples, the faithful thought their actions were in the right, and were justified according to their God or otherwise. Islamic terrorists believe that they are cleansing the world of infidels, and doing right by their God, and paving their way to paradise or heaven. Adolf Hitler, born and raised Catholic, believed in a German master race, and that the Jews, along with other groups, were inferior. Many Germans blindly followed him and believed him, fought and died for their Führer. The German SS proudly wore this belt buckle with their uniforms reading Gott mit uns, or God with us. In total, 11 million people died.
I think the most rational reason for it is because of the harm that I see it does. We were talking about that earlier. Many people do simply awful things out of sincere religious belief, not using religion as a cover, the way Saddam Hussein may have done, but really because they believe that this is what God wants them to do. Going all the way back to Abraham being willing to sacrifice Isaac because God told him to do that.
Many religious people make the argument that faith is necessary for a functioning and healthy society. Well, this is flat out wrong. Our founding fathers of the United States knew this and based the country off the separation of church and state. Yet, somehow, the United States has become the most religious first world country on earth. You can't even get elected into public office if you don't claim a faith, particularly Christianity.
I don't know much about politics, but I'll vote for President Bush because of his faith.
When we look at other countries around the world with high percentages of atheism and low percentages of faith and religion, we see a trend. Norway, Iceland, Switzerland, Sweden, France, Netherlands, Denmark, Finland, Belgium, the UK, Austria, Germany, the Czech Republic, And the list goes on. All of these countries are at least 60% or higher atheistic and agnostic, the highest being the Czech Republic at 84%. The trend that these countries share is that they are more peaceful and have better functioning societies than most countries, including the United States, which is only at about 27% atheist and agnostic. Most of the countries listed have free healthcare and free higher level education. All boast very low crime rates and very low rates of incarceration in comparison to the United States. We do not need faith. Just the thought of blindly following something for which there's no proof in today's world is just insanity. The fact that such heinous crimes and acts can and are committed through faith is disgusting.
No matter the short-term benefits on someone's well-being or comfort, in the long run, it has no overall benefit to humanity to believe in something that's completely unproven.
Putting God ahead of humanity is a terrible thing.
So why do I hate religion? Why do I hate faith? Because it's a plague to human society. We would be far better off without it. Imagine a world where the Holocaust didn't happen, or 9/11, suicide bombings, and all other forms of terrorism didn't happen or didn't exist. Imagine a world without war and with peace in the Middle East. So while you sit there saying your faith gives you comfort and peace of mind and doesn't do any harm, stop thinking about just yourself and look at the bigger picture and what damage faith does around the world. You may say, but I don't agree with Muslims executing people, blowing up buildings, or throwing gays off of rooftops. But stop and think a minute. Think about why those people are doing those things. It's faith. It is the acceptance of claims without proof. It is young men following older men who claim to speak for a God, demanding blind adherence to religious texts, regardless of who it hurts, for hopes of eternal paradise. So every time you advocate for faith, every time you make an excuse for missing evidence in your religion, or every time you give your God an excuse for horrific behavior and encourage others to worship him or her with blind acceptance of things that we can't possibly know to be true, you're part of the problem.
And I think it divides our society like no other force can. The more religious a society, the more unjust that society tends to be. They prefer censorship above debate and place more trust in Bronze Age fairy tales than evidence. It's undemocratic, homophobic, and sexist. It really is an insult to human intelligence. Now, because apparently
the only voices of the religious voices often that we hear in the media are voices of condemnation and separation. And if religion is not a bridge instead of a wedge, if it isn't about inclusiveness of other people's view, not just that they have our view, it's going to separate us and it's going to destroy us.
I'm hoping this movie and this movement will encourage people to speak up about this. I'm not they accuse me of being a Catholic bigot. First of all, I don't have it out especially for the Catholics. I think all religions are cuckoo, okay? It's not just the Catholics. But I'm not a bigot. Just because I wish for the demise of an organization that I think is entirely destructive to the human race, that doesn't make me a bigot. I also wish for the demise of Hamas and the KKK. Not that on every score the Catholic Church is the same as those two organizations, but to me, they are destructive organizations, and I'm not a bigot because I root for their downfall.
But you can't offend them.
I have been doing it for 15 years, and they're perfectly within their rights to be offended, but they're not going to shut me up, and they're not going to do it by saying the magic word faith. This is what I believe. Yeah, you believe it, and I'm going to say why it's dumb.